In the spirit of continuing the Three Rivers Challenge, I have decided to make this lovely einkorn flour bread. I watched this girl named Shay Elliott on YouTube, and she just raves about this einkorn flour. It's got a lot of protein in it, like 4 grams of protein, it says here. So I bought some. I bought all-purpose and I bought whole wheat because we normally eat whole wheat bread. I have my own honey. It's a little stuck to the counter. That's hilarious. I won't need this sugar. That was out for something else. I bought some yeast. I have some butter. Even though I'm making some butter later on, I'm going to go ahead and use this because it's in my pantry. I'm going to use that cooking spray, and I have some sea salt here. So I'm just going to try it because I'm out of bread, but I'm not out of flour because I bought it to make the bread. And so I did buy the yeast today, but compared to what I normally spend on groceries, this challenge has been such kind of a game changer in our house, trying to pay off Christmas and do some other things. Yes, I'm just now noticing there's a drill on my countertop. I'll show you what I've been working on sometime later. But now I'm going to get to work on this bread. And my house is very cold, so I'm going to put it over by the fire in order to warm. And I hope that that is not too hot for it. So I have 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 1/4 cups of warm water. I am going to add to that a tablespoon of honey. I'm trying to get some without the wax in it. I guess I could strain it, but I'm not going to. It's probably just going to be me eating the bread, and who cares if I get some honeycomb in it. This is honey from my bees. If you haven't seen my bee videos, I won't link them because I don't know how to do that. But you can go to my channel and you can search Flow Hive or bees, and you'll see how well the Flow Hive works. And you'll see me and my dad taking care of the bees. I tried to put the bees on my property. I didn't have enough forage for the bees. But my dad has acres of clover, and the bees just went nuts this year. And so that was really fun. He and I had a great time, and he's doing a lot more with the bees than I ever would. So that's exciting to me that he gets to do that. All right, so, sorry, I'm licking the honey off my fingers. Calls for 1½ teaspoons of yeast. I used to make sourdough bread. I have not attempted a yeast bread ever. So I hope that I'm going to do okay with this. I bought the einkorn flour because it has a lot of protein in it. It's an ancient flour, and it's supposed to be much lower glycemic index than your regular flour. And I'm diabetic, so I'm liking to figure out new things like that. Now, it says to stir this till it's creamy, and then I'm going to add my flour. So it only calls for the regular all-purpose einkorn flour. I bought this from jovial.com, the same place that Shay Elliott buys hers, because as far as I could tell, that was the only place that that sells this flour. So probably should sift that. No, it's very soft. It's gonna be fine. So it calls for 3½ cups sprinkled over the yeast mixture. I've got 1, 2, and then I'm going to use whole wheat flour for the other 1.5 cups because I always eat whole wheat bread. We've never bought anything different, and so even the kids might like this. Oh, Mama's not a good measurer. One, and I'm going to put a scant less than a half. They want you to use a kitchen scale, and if this turns out terribly, then next time I'll use a kitchen scale. I should be using a kitchen scale now because this flour was not cheap. And then we have our salt, rock salt, Himalayan salt, and it calls for 1.25 teaspoons of salt. 1.25. Y'all, I am not a baker. I'm kind of scaring myself with this. So sprinkle the salt on top, and it says just to mix that with a spatula until all the flour is absorbed and I have a wet, sticky dough. So smooth that salt into there, and we're just going to mix. Yeah, it's not lumps in that flour. It is very, very soft, and y'all, it smells amazing. I wish I had a wooden bowl. I always see people mix their bread in a wooden bowl, but this glass bowl will have to do. Okay, it says the dough will be wet and sticky. My dough is not really wet, but it is kind of sticky. I'm wanting to get my hands in there. Let's just see. Oh, it smells so good. I think this is going to be great. I have been learning so much in this pantry challenge just about how much food I have on hand and how much food we not really waste because it does go to the animals. FYI, the getting the hands involved was a mistake. So we don't really waste that much food because it does go to the animals, and the animals turn all of those scraps, especially my pigs, they turn those scraps into bacon. So, you know, that's okay, but that's really expensive pig food. So I'm just really loving finding ways or having the excuse or making myself use what I have in my pantry rather than going out and buy bread. You know, I bought the flour to make the bread, but if I just keep going to the store and buying the bread, I will never use the flour, and then it'll be out of date, and it was expensive flour, and it'll be wasted. So I'm going to try to do it at least for the month of February, maybe even longer than that. All right, I'm going to cover this tightly with plastic wrap, set it by the fire, and let it rise. I do see one girl that I watch, Becky on Acre Homestead. She always sprays or oils her bread. And I used to do that when I made sourdough bread. I used to do that too, just so it won't be so sticky coming out of the, that Pam, gosh, it's making me choke. It won't be so sticky coming out of the bowl. And we'll check back in 45 minutes. Let me skim the cream. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, I know that I have mentioned that this milk is given to me 100 times, and that if I don't take it, the man just pours it out on the ground. when I say to you that grieves my heart. Look at the cream on this milk. I am going to skim off the cream into this bowl of my food processor, and I am going to make some butter. And then I'm going to do a little research and see if I can make some sour cream, because we had tacos this afternoon and we were missing our sour cream. So I'm going to see what I have to do that. But you've seen this process before. You just whirl it around for 10 or 15 minutes in the food processor until it separates cream from, or like a ball of fat really, from the water, which is essentially buttermilk. It doesn't look or taste like buttermilk. And then you wash it off and salt it, and you have your butter. So I'm not going to bore you with that, but my bread is rising. This butter is going to be delicious. And then we'll come back together in a few minutes. Got a beautiful ball of butter there. Took about 8 minutes in a smaller food processor, so maybe that's the ticket. I'm going to eat that in a few minutes. Here's our dough. It has risen beautifully. I've got just another minute before it is supposed to come out, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn the timer off. Have my oven preheated to 375. If you want this recipe, it is on jovialfoods.com, and Jovial is the company that sells the Einkorn flour. They said just to very gently shape it into a loaf, which that was pretty easy. I'm going to use my dough scraper, put it into this pan, and now it's a very, very soft dough. I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap, let it rise for another 30 minutes. So here's the loaf. I am not very impressed with my baking skills. I think that it will probably be very dense. Thin. Let's see. Oh, it's hot. It's not too bad. I'm not sure it's completely done. So, okay. Maybe next time.